Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in game number 1 of our last best of 5 for the day. For the round of 32, the DreamHack Montreal. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the Kazakhstani Protoss player.
Who's pausing the game?
No, Neeb paused the game.
He's gonna be perfect. And he comes. Okay, sorry.
Man, I was getting excited. I was getting hype. And Neeb's just killing it for me right now. It's making me want to cheer for PiLiPiLi. So how's your day going?
It's going okay. How's your day going? I'm actually in a lot of pain, so it's not okay.
Yeah. The Kazakhstani Protoss player in the blue, now living in America. Give it up for PiLiPiLi.
All right, and of course in the top right, representing Ting. But more importantly himself, it's going to be none other than the red Protoss, Neeb. And Neeb is once again one of these guys in a bit of a privileged position for this DreamHack. Where obviously you want money and fame and all these great things, but he has already secured his spot going to DreamHack. Or close time.
Well, also DreamHack, he's made it here.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. There we go. I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Technically correct. Just like, you know, technically correct. No, I'm not even gonna bring it up. Never
well,
mind.
I guess secured is wrong to say. I should correct myself, but just so you guys are aware, the point difference between Neeb's spot and for anyone to overtake him is so incredibly just impossible. He's basically locked in his spot there. I guess there's something where, like, if he cheated at something or had his points revoked,
you would need someone to start up and announce a new WCS tournament on top of the Copa tournament. Neeb not be able to attend, and all of the other people that are just barely below him all end up getting high placements in that. Like, it would have to be something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it turns out he's been map hacking this whole time, account sharing. Like, no, seriously, like, Neeb is pretty much locked in his spot. I think he's sitting at 5 or 6 last time I remember checking. And it's such a hard point for anyone to overtake number 8, much less number 6 or 5 or whatever he's sitting at. So Neeb is pretty much good to go. That being said, obviously more points, locks down his spot even further, guarantee him that top 8 finals. But money, Fear Dragon. Always about that money.
Yeah. Quick differences in the openings. We do have Neeb going for the ever so common Adept opening, which is nice to get some scouting information off, but versus the Stalker opening, the Stalkers find those Adepts before they actually make their way into the base. Does mean that those Stalkers can chase them down, eventually get the kill off. And the most important thing about those Adepts is that they get scouting information. They do try to get a couple of worker kills here and there, but Photon Overcharge plus the Stalkers are supposed to take care of them. And so far, Neeb has not been able to actually make his way into the main base just yet. And with 4 Stalkers now out, means you get even less damage done. But of course you do have more information on your opponent getting 4 Stalkers. Also really interesting, Neeb is just being very conservative with his Adepts compared to many other Protoss players, keeping them alive, and it does make sense that he's going for the Resonating Glaives upgrade, that he's going to be going into a more Adept-heavy composition, especially in the current meta right now. Adepts are very much in. Especially if you've been watching GSL, you know, Adepts versus Stalkers, Adepts start to actually win at a certain point.
I don't think it's ever you want to take that fight, though. Like, if you're fighting long enough for the Adepts to actually win over, somebody should have moved and nobody should have stayed still moving for that long. Like, the Adepts are probably going to transfer through the Stalkers, and screw it, kill the probe line in the process of. But either way, Neeb is setting up to get aggressive. PiLiPiLi comes across the map. They both got that Robo. And my question is whether what comes out of the Robo. We're assuming Immortals, and it'll probably be 1 or 2 for certain. They're just good all-around units to have. But this might quickly become Disruptors. This might even go towards Colossus. I'm really curious to see which stage of the game each of these players is at right now. Because we talked about it before, the meta for this matchup's changed a lot. PiLiPiLi's actually hidden his Robo Bay, funny enough. So Neeb won't scout that it's going to be Disruptors, potentially.
I think that's really important, because the big weakness of Adepts is that they do not do well when the Disruptors get out. Wait, did PiLiPiLi think that you could force field Adepts? Or is he just trying to trap them in? I can't tell.
I am unsure. perhaps a mistake was made.
Yeah. Either way, ends up being able to photon overcharge a lot of these adepts down, but still loses 6 workers, and is going to be losing maybe a few more as these adepts start to make their way in. A very, very long pathway in, though. Oh, actually, you know, the walling in over here for PiLiPiLi is really solid. This is really smart because you can see there's really not a lot of area where you can actually make your way into that mineral line. So it does make it a lot harder for those adept shades to be very effective. Still loses 9 workers.
9 kills from that. In a mirror matchup, 9 kills is huge this late into the, I guess, like this point of the game.
He is still investing, though, into his own form of aggression that has not hit yet. And it's going to be useful for not only the main army, but it's also going to be useful for doing some sort of harassment against a player who has, quite frankly, no anti-air except for photon overcharges. So I won't count PiLiPiLi out just yet, but it is definitely not an ideal spot for him. Ooh, we also have Gravitic Drive coming out, which is a really heavy investment into that Disruptor drop play.
Yeah, speed will allow him to maneuver past pretty much everything, but it's still weird. Like, I don't know that this is gonna. I don't know that this will work per se. He might get some good kills with this Disruptor, he might not. Well, the Warp Prism might be faster. The shot for the Disruptor isn't, in splitting for Neeb, it's not hard for him to do. We see him do it all the time versus Banelings. Doing it versus a Disruptor shouldn't be too bad either. Oh, he's gonna get. There we go. Last second splits.
Yeah, keeps most of the sentries alive. Only loses 1, and now the surprise factor is gone. I was gonna say there's gonna be Stalkers warped in, but no, it's not Stalkers. It's a Stargate instead. I suppose that can work. Disruptor's still going to be able to maneuver around and try and get some damage done. I like the fact that Neeb is just keeping that Immortal inside the mineral line because, yeah, the Disruptor is going to start to take really, really significant damage if it sticks around there for too long to get that shot off.
Yeah, that's where the Immortal's really nice to see.
Neeb just continuing to warp in 2 more adepts at a time from that proxy pylon very, very slowly just to get some scouting information off on PiLiPiLi. Of course, the Disruptors are still nice for the main army engagement, but it is, again, about overcoming that economic deficit. He's been able to equalize the worker count, but of course you can see that, well, actually, you know, getting some good damage.
It's an interesting angle to come in from, actually. That was kind of cool to see.
I mean, as long as he has that Disruptor alive, he can continue to do this. The Warp Prism for Neeb does come in, drops a couple of adepts over. It's 3 workers killed for both sides, so Neeb still maintains that worker lead. Although it's not as significant as it was earlier on. Neeb has been cutting a lot of workers here and there to get up slightly faster number of gateways, slightly, I think the gateway count is probably the biggest difference right now, is it's 4 to 3. With the Phoenix coming out, though, I'm actually not sure if this is going to completely shut down that Disruptor drop play. Should be able to chase it across the map, but I don't know. Phoenixes don't exactly damage Warp Prism super duper quickly. There's only one Phoenix or so. It's not that big of a deal, but there are more than 1 Phoenix coming out. It's gonna be 2, 3, maybe even 4 Phoenix coming out. And the nice thing is they can lift up those Disruptors and completely cancel and negate the shots.
Yeah, it's actually, for the longest time, I didn't realize that you could actually lift up a Disruptor. It's like an Immortal. It just doesn't seem like it should be able to be Graviton beamed so easily, but...
Really? Immortals seem like they shouldn't be?
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that I confuse them for massive units. They just don't look like, they're too big and heavy to lift up.
You know how I feel Cyclones are like that. And also lifted up siege tanks, I used to think about that.
I'm fairly certain Cyclones are made of feathers, with their health being what it is.
You know what? Having played in the Legacy of the Void beta, to this day, I still think Cyclones are like they're beefier than Hellbats in my mind.
And you're like, oh yeah, I blew lightly and they all died.
Oh, Disruptors all get shots.
Now the Adept's gonna win out of this fight. The Immortals and the Archons on the backside of it are a little too much as well. And these Phoenix can just pick off that Warp Prism while this goes on. PiLiPiLi's losing a lot of his momentum in this attack. +1 weapons for Neeb are really just dominating this. And Adepts, who cares? You got an Archon. GG.
Neeb takes a dominating engagement, and with that, a dominating lead in this series, 1-0.
Yeah, that's so dominating, Fear Dragon.
It is dominating.
Wow, he's already up. He's in.
PiLiPiLi hasn't even taken a game off of Neeb yet.
This is like you trying to refer to like a series, but in a best of 1. Like,
it is a best of 1. It is a series. A series can be a best of 1.
No, it can't be. A series is a series of games, multiple.
It is a series.
It's not a series of game.
It is a series of one.
No.
I'm just gonna say that.
Are you being serious this right now? You're so wrong about this.
It's like an array. You can have an array of size 1. You can have an array of size 0. You can have a
It's
series
not
of
like
0
an array
games.
though, because it's series, as in a multiple indicator with the S at the end of series.
I'm gonna defend the idea that you can have a series of 0 games. I'm gonna take this to the extreme.
This is not like an agree to disagree. You dumb.
Look, you have a valid opinion. It's just not my
I hate
opinion.
you.
All right, but ladies and
You know
gentlemen,
what? I think a series. Okay, so hear me out. Assuming a series of 1 is a real thing, right? The question is, can a series of 1 two-shot a Marine?
if it stims first, yes.
Shut the fuck up. All right, we're getting a new Gettysburg, guys. It's map number 2, but this best of 5 is the last best of today.
I'm just gonna say that there are more people in the chat saying I'm right than saying that I'm wrong. So.
Sorry, I cleared chat. What? I don't see anyone saying anything in chat.
Good thing I have better Twitch TV and the chat didn't actually clear.
BTTV? BaseTradeTV?
BTTV? I actually get so confused when I see that acronym used by other people, like referring to better Twitch TV. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we got the blue Protoss player currently sitting down 0-1. Definitely the underdog in this series. Give it up for PiLiPiLi from Storm Gaming.
And his opponent, bottom right, playing for Chang. It's going to be the red Protoss, the American Neeb, who has been traveling a hell of a lot lately, as he did pretty much go from like one DreamHack to Korea back to Montreal, and then he'll be going, I think, back to Korea again afterwards.
Yeah, and probably in a few weeks or like maybe a month going to the Copa event. I just imagine he's going for that in Mexico.
Oh yeah, I guess I kind of forgot that's a WCS event as well. I wonder if somebody second place there could knock somebody in 8th or 7th place out of WCS. Well, I know Moss is really close.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'd have to double check the standings. You know, that would be really great for someone who's not in charge of the stream to do, so they could refer to it and make us both look really smart.
Yeah, someone who has 2 functioning arms, for example, that can comfortably type and easily do so in a non-insensitive way. You are absolutely correct.
That would be really great if we had someone like that, wouldn't it?
Unfortunately, we don't. So I don't know what you're hinting at here.
Not hinting at anything. Alright, well, we do have double gateway openings. I want to note something that happened that was sort of subtle or like sometimes happens in PvP. Most often you end up seeing adepts versus stalkers, or adept on adepts, you know, double adept openings, double stalker openings. But more recently, we've been seeing more players being willing to go for something like a single stalker and a sentry, because they realize stalker openings are so common these days that you can actually sometimes get away without really making the double stalker to deal with an adept harassment, or actually just getting up a sentry to get up that energy a little bit faster. You can see PiLiPiLi not going for 2 stalkers right now. He's just getting out 1, starts up that second one a little bit later, and gets up a faster militia core.
Speaking of the adept attack, you know, there's that really interesting thing on Reddit. Everyone's seen it at this point, I'm sure, where someone, like a year into Legacy of the Void, figured out that you could block adepts with adepts when it comes to transferring. And I'm wondering how long till we actually see that in a pro game. I think it's so cool to have something like that revealed so late into Legacy of the Void.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, I can't even remember what Zerg player did it. I imagine like it probably was like TLO or something. But it was a Zerg player. They did a wall in at the top of their main base ramp with like an evolution chamber and stuff. And they had a creep tumor there because a building creep tumor technically blocks the ramp for ground units. So he prevented a Zergling run by that, yeah, I could have just attacked the creep tumor to end it, but he prevented the Zergling run by doing that. And I wonder if someone's gonna be able to do something like similar to that. These adepts actually getting a little bit more damage done than you normally should be getting from the adept harassment, and even gets out of there with one of them. 4 worker kills. Robo gonna be going down over here for PiLiPiLi, and he's gonna be up against a Oracle. The fact that he's already started that sentry production does make it a little bit harder, since you generally want to have 3 stalkers out in addition to having the put on overcharge. And oh man, Neeb just shadings directly on top of the sentries and is gonna be able to pick off one of them. Might even be able to get the second one. That's a really big deal. That was a huge gas investment. And I think the biggest part about that is the fact that PiLiPiLi never gets to the point where he gets up enough energy to hallucinate a Phoenix and scout. He has 0 scouting information right now. He never sent a Mothership Core across the map to scout. He never scouted with a probe or moved out with some adepts. He is going to be completely blind for this Oracle coming in. And this could very well, I won't say that it's going to end the game, but it could do an absurd amount of damage right now, especially with only 2 Stalkers in the main base. Mothership Core's not here. Okay. Not getting that much damage done. Still, keeping the Oracle alive is nice. Second Oracle is made as well. And PiLiPiLi really just doesn't have much of an idea of the follow-up. He might be able to make some guesses, but it's not going to be very clear and obvious.
Well, it actually catches the Oracle to the south of the Observer, which is really nice. So he'll see the second one coming in, and knowing that there's more than just one is a pretty big deal. Already 6 probes go down, and once again, just emphasizing, hey, it's a mirror matchup. The Oracle actually zaps off 2 more on the edge of that overcharge. Neeb's control, just absolutely fantastic. Let's not forget, he kept that first Oracle alive. We'll see if he can keep the second one alive. It's a bit greedy for that last probe, but 13 workers killed is insane.
PiLiPiLi is all in at this point. This is that moment that you have to go for something. You have to plan for some kind of big all-in.
I mean, I don't even know that you can. The problem when you lose the economy like this early, you don't actually have the money to all in, correct? Like, this isn't like you can slap down 5 gateways and make use of that bank you had been saving up. Neeb instead just takes a third on the other side of the map, and defensively speaking, any amount of photon overcharges should be good to keep him alive against anything that PiLi could throw out at him. We got the Oracle just, again, kind of chilling, looking to get maybe Revelations. It's moving into the natural base, and it doesn't have a lot of energy. Yeah, just Revelation tags everything. Oracle doesn't have energy to get 2 more kills. Oh, jeez, and he gets out alive. This is got to be like tilt-inducing. Like 16, 15 workers ahead. Neeb is just looking fan-freaking-tastic as he moves on to Immortals next. That +1 for PiLi is not going to do him any justice.
Yeah, he's got the probe over here, and even the 3rd expansion is going to be scouted out as soon as this Oracle moves in any direction whatsoever. And yeah, there it is. He knows. Oracle should be able to get out of there alive once again because the shield's regenerated. +1 weapons finishes up for PiLiPiLi, but as you're saying, what is that really going to do in this situation? And yeah, he is just going to try and bounce back, but the problem really is going to be the fact that Neeb has cut worker production because he knows all he has to do is mass up a lot of units at this point, utilize that superior economy that he already has, as well as the gateways he's making, and he can just charge across the map. There's nothing that PiLiPiLi can do. The longer that he waits, the more opportunities he gives for PiLiPiLi to get up some kind of tech to bounce back. A Dark Shrine, or just, you know, Robotics Bay for Disruptors, something. And I think the hardest part about all this is just the fact that the Oracle will continuously keep an eye on that army. If Neeb, or if PiLiPiLi tries something funky, there's no reason why Neeb should not see it.
I guess the other annoying part too is like there's that classic one behind Dark Shrine that applies in every scenario except this one because detection's already out and looking for it like every step of the way.
Yeah, multiple observers being made right now for Neeb, as opposed to getting out, you know, more Immortals or something to strengthen the push. He's just taking all the extra precautions because he doesn't need any more Immortals to bust in over here. He doesn't need the extra power. I feel like tilt-inducing is just a really appropriate way to put this. I am worried for PiLiPiLi and his mental state going into game number 3. Because there's a very, very, very high likelihood right now he's going to be sitting down 0-2. And it's going to be against a player that he knows is one of the best, if not the best player in all of North America. And possibly one of the best in the entire foreign scene. Well, a Depth Shade on in. They're going to be able to do a lot of damage. Surprisingly enough, PiLiPiLi is not taking like the worst series of engagements over here. But now, as the Immortals get forced with it, and this is where Neeb just has the overpowering numbers. GG gets called.
Yeah, that was 2 times the army supply attack.
Neeb takes a dominating lead in the series.
See, now that's fine. That's okay.
Neeb continues a dominating lead in the series. That's what I should be saying. which should also be appropriate to you. All right, well, I think that since we might be hopping to our last game of the day, potentially, we're gonna hop to a short little break while we get the next game set up. We'll see you guys in a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in game number 3. Match point as we spawn up here in the top left-hand corner of the map. The blue Protoss player from Psystorm Gaming. Can he bring it back and 3-0 one of the best players in the world right now, or at least in the foreign scene? Give it up for PiLiPiLi.
Actually, the answer is no, because Neeb's already got 2 points, so it can only be a 3-2 at best.
From
In the bottom right,
out.
the guy who cannot be 3-0'd in this series, it's going to be the red Protoss, Tings Neeb. And Mr. Boris Makarov donates $5, and he says, what do you call a seasonal Protoss worker? A Templar.
Beautiful.
Nailed it.
Alrighty. Well, I think that this is definitely going to be a hard fight for PiLiPiLi. I'm trying to think of like what you do even do versus Neeb, because the problem is Neeb is also just such a solid player. He's not exactly someone that you kind of easily cheese and catch off guard. And he's just known for his defense. I think that is one of the best traits of Neeb, is that he is so difficult to break defensively.
It's not even about breaking Neeb. I think the problem is Neeb, we've talked about this in many different aspects of his play, like it doesn't matter what race it's against. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Like where players might over-dedicate or accidentally cancel transfer when they shouldn't or things like this, he just doesn't seem to make errors. I don't know how to describe him better than that, because he's not a perfect player and he's not without flaws, but when it matters most, he plays the best. And that obviously is what leads to him having good defense and all this other good stuff. But Stalkers versus Adepts, you know, I think it's like if Neeb actually wanted to transfer that through, he maybe could have gotten some probe kills. Gonna have to dance around a little bit here in the middle of the map, a bit awkward, but puts the shieldless Adept on the back lines. He'll actually transfer this one through, I think. Yeah.
Well, still wants to use those Adepts to try and get some sort of scouting information off. Now, he's been pretty effective with these Adept openings also. PiLiPiLi hasn't really been able to prevent those Adepts from getting more or less than 4 worker kills, as well as also that scouting information. But it looks like this game is working out a little bit better for him. Neeb doesn't really get too much information. He sees the double gateways, doesn't really get to see too much else, and forces the Adepts all the way back home. But I guess the alternative side of it is Neeb keeps those Adepts alive, which is something that he has, again, been valuing a little bit more than many other Protoss players out there, keeping those early Adepts alive, not just sacrificing them. Alright, well, Robo's coming out for both of these players, and Neeb just seems to be slightly ahead in a lot of different regards in terms of like how the builds are progressing. The Robo finishes up slightly earlier for Neeb, gets up, I think, slightly earlier Warp Gate technology, the gateways go down slightly earlier, but +1 weapons comes out for Neeb, which is really interesting. Does sort of signal that he wants to maybe play a little bit longer of a game. I can't think of any specific, like +1 weapons is nice just in general in PvP. It's helpful for the big engagements, but there's no special super secret thing like, oh, +1 weapons helps you 2-shot a Zergling or anything like that that really ends up happening in this matchup. Adept's gonna continue shit around. PiLiPiLi just gonna focus on getting out those Immortals. Not really gonna worry too much about getting out an early Observer or anything. And that may end up being kind of nice if he doesn't end up having to use a bunch of time on that Robo early on for the Observer. It does allow him to cut a few corners. Adepts in the War Prism, gonna be able to snipe off 2 workers and get out of there though. And at the same time, Hallucinate Phoenix comes in, scouts everything out that PiLiPiLi's up to.
I actually almost wish he would have hallucinated an Oracle. What with the paranoia, probably driven in from that last game. But
yeah, possibly.
Only 2 workers have died. Not a lot has actually happened so far this game. But back home, the build up for Neeb, I'm liking a lot better. The Immortal count gonna be about even when it comes to a fight, I guess. But that +1 weapons is gonna be a pretty big deal. Normally, plus weapon upgrades actually isn't, and as we saw last game, or especially on New Gettysburg, excuse me, wasn't the case. But this will be a situation where it's not about Neeb having that +1 so much as it is about him potentially having that +2 so early. There we go. The +2 starts up right away. So I mean, again, like the +1 weapons helps. It's not that big of a deal. It's +2 that really starts changing the dynamic of the stalkers. But a couple of sentries, a couple of overcharges, every little bit of this screams defender's advantage. PiLiPiLi can't really push into this.
Yeah. The War Prism is still making its way back across the map over here for Neeb, so could do a bit more damage since PiLiPiLi really doesn't want to have to utilize a lot of his weapons back at home defensively, especially since he has the War Prism over here. He's looking for an opportunity to get aggressive, but I think he's realizing, yeah, there's not a whole lot available. Double Photon Overcharge should be able to actually force that back. Kills off one of the Adepts, which is kind of nice. Gonna delay Neeb from moving back in for at least a little bit until he warps in another Adept. Templar Archives comes out behind this for Neeb, as well as a lot more gateways, throwing out Adept Resonating Glaze, getting out the +2 weapons you were talking about, and really just preparing to go into fairly heavy Templar tech style, getting out some of those Archons as well as the Adepts. PiLiPiLi, on the other hand, I sort of wonder, like, maybe this is one of those times that do you still go for a lot of the Adepts? This is one of those times where the Archons especially do quite well versus the Adepts. And since he's not going to have Resonating Glaze for a while, it may be better if he was going for something like Blink. If he warped in a lot of Stalkers. But
Archons are real fickle, though, in the matchup, because the problem is they're not good for later on. They might be good for, like, a right now scenario, but once Disruptors come into play, Archons is just being a huge waste.
Yeah, I don't think Disruptors are I honestly and will be surprised if we see Disruptors before we see a big army engagement, though, in this game. Just because of the way it's progressing.
The War Prism does get driven off so close to going down. He actually saves those Adepts. Neeb, once again, just getting small worker kills here and there, getting him leads in the game. But that +2 is what I'm really looking at going forward, because whether it's Archons, whether it's Disruptors or not, the point is Neeb's army now has a massive upgrade lead. Again, the +1, not really that much, but when you've got about 70 army supply on +2, they're going to do a lot of damage. Neeb's Archon might not even hold up, or sorry, excuse me, PiLi's Archon might not even hold up that long.
Is this going to go full base trade? If Neeb waits even just like 5 to 10 seconds, this may end up going full base trade. And Neeb knows about this.
If it does go for a base trade, Neeb can't stop PiLi with force fields, but PiLi can stop Neeb with force fields.
No, Neeb has his own War Prism.
No, but the Archon can break force fields is what I mean.
Oh. Yeah, but I don't think it'll stop it for very long. Because realistically, like, you just elevator 2 Immortals up to the high ground. It's not going to be a problem.
Yeah. The Adept army is going to fight. Looks like it is going to be a bit of a trade. He transferred some away, so Neeb's actually not sending everything here to fight. He is trying to bring some units back home. I see the question mark. I don't actually know. Some probes. Can anything get out of the base? Not looking like it. I don't really know, man. This is weird. In the terms of this base trade, it looks like PiLiPiLi's got the better fight going for him. Neither player's letting any probes escape, so it is going to come down to who can kill the buildings fastest. Like, literally, no probes got out alive on either side. So now warping what he can.
PiLiPiLi has a probe in the bottom left. He has a probe in the bottom left.
He could build a Nexus, but the Adepts are right there, and they don't know about it.
They don't know about it. I mean, even if he just throws down the Nexus, it'll take at least a little bit of time for that.
He just let Neeb walk a probe through all of his army, but Neeb has no money because he's warped in a ton of Adepts thinking he wouldn't get a probe out of the base.
Probe gets flanked by 2 Immortals and an Archon.
He's got his whole army back home.
Oh, 2 Immortals and an Archon. That's a really expensive loss if he engages against that. Neeb realizes what's going on. He has to pull back.
I think the upgrades make this a better fight for Neeb, but Neeb's got no recovery off this.
PiLiPiLi just warped in a bunch of more Adepts. He only has enough energy now for a Gas Geyser or a Pylon.
3 Immortals, the Archon advantage for PiLiPiLi, the upgrade advantage for Neeb. Neither player has capabilities to macro out of this. Plus 3 weapons is stalled out. Actually, Neeb can cancel that, get some money, but that doesn't matter at this point.
PiLiPiLi also has one probe back at home. Okay, gets picked off by the Adept, I think.
It doesn't matter. It's 2 probes and gas. It doesn't matter. Yeah. There's no macro coming out of the back end of this.
He has a Nexus.
It's 24 Adepts versus 25. It's 3 Immortals versus 3. But PiLiPiLi has 4 Stalkers, 1 Sentry advantage, and 1 Archon. I really don't know if that's going to overcome the +2 weapons. So much of this comes down to who gets a good fight. Force Field catches a couple of these units, but he picks them up in the Warp Prism. Other Force Fields go down to catch those other Adepts. Oh, this is going to be weird. I don't know who wins this fight. So far, it's staying even. 60 to 60 army supply. 19 Adepts, though, for Neeb might just be what wins him this game. That Micro going out of control. Keeping so many of these units alive when they should die. He's scooping, he's picking, he's plucking. And this is not going too badly for either side.
But I think PiLiPiLi is starting to get a slight edge over here.
I think
just barely.
Yeah, Sword of Seas comes out of these Immortals. Barriers coming on, cooldowns going off, cooldown. Everyone picking up the Warp Prism. Neeb may have just done it though.
Oh my god.
A little bit of an advantage. 20 supply to 4. I think he's got it. That one Stalker could eventually shoot down the Warp Prism. GG, well played. Neeb takes the 3-0 on the B stream.
Well played.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, like, I will give it to PiLi. That was a much better game than I expected. That came down much closer than I expected as well. But through and through, Neeb is just the better player, and that really showed with that 3-0.
It absolutely did. And Neeb shows that, you know what? Especially in the earlier rounds, I'm still waiting to see how it goes if Neeb makes it to the finals, but no, there's no nerves or pressure or anything getting to him right now. This is absolutely just Neeb domination right now.
I gotta say, both players were microing their hearts out too. I'm watching the 10-second delay on the stream or whatever, and like it's hard to say somebody was even microing better than the other. There may have even just been some random luck in that, as I think both players were just clicking on whatever they could. But man, Neeb picking up a lot more important units. PiLi picking up like the Immortals is the focus, but Neeb picking up the Adepts.
Here's the one thing I will say. I feel like when it got to that final point where there were the 3 Immortals and 1 Stalker left over for PiLiPiLi, I think he should have picked up maybe he should have done Immortal plus Stalker or double Immortal.
Man, I think I can't pick up micros too hard to analyze.
No, but no, not even like super like high level micro. I'm saying like just book it, like leave, because he's killed off so many more buildings. He actually still had 2 probes left out on the map. I think if Neeb tried to turn it into a base rate and actually tried to go after the remainder of PiLiPiLi's buildings, PiLiPiLi would have at least been able to force a stalemate by the fact that Neeb could not leave, because if he left, the double Immortals would kill off Neeb's buildings faster. So close.
So I think that's too much of a stretch, but
maybe.
Regardless of that, I just want to point out people saying random luck. No, I'm not saying Neeb won that on random luck. I'm saying it was a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, a little bit of column C, and column C was random luck, because the micro was good on both sides. Both players were picking up and dropping like crazy. Like, that was insane to watch. But
yeah, absolutely.
Either way, that finally brings our broadcast to a conclusion. 11 hours later.
All right, well, but congratulations. Now, the main stream is still going on with the broadcast. I don't actually know what the current status is of Petit Drogo versus Bunny. Hopefully they finished up that match and they're getting started with Puck versus Scarlet. No, looks like they're still going. Looks like they only just finished or are finishing Petit Drogo versus Bunny Game 4.
So then it's the perfect opportunity for us to host them. So if you guys want to watch more DreamHack, you can chill here on the channel, or you can go to the main stream. Up to you. I'll leave the bot on even so you guys can keep collecting some Partoos if you'd like. But that does conclude things here. So quick shout out to our sponsors who support the channel. Chairs for Gaming. You guys should know the deal. If you live in Canada, United States, check out chairsforgaming.com or chairsforgaming.ca. You can use promo code BaseTradeTV on either of those websites. You get $20 off your purchase and free shipping and handling. G2A sells games for cheap. They sponsor DreamHack. They sponsor us. If you guys want to check them out, make sure you use promo code BASE on your checkout to save 3%, but also give us a little bit of cash in the process. Corsair's got all their gear listed down below. Big loves go to Corsair for keeping the stream afloat with Corsair cups and whatnot every Monday for months and months now. And then last but not least, of course, we'll go to Yord, woodwatches.com. If you go to woodwatches.com/base, you can even find exactly how many watches have been sold so far, how close we are to our next event with them, all that good stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in. Fear Dragon, any final shout outs where people can find you, all that good stuff?
Yeah, you can catch me at FearDragon64 on all social media, and we possibly will be casting a little bit more tomorrow for the DreamHack Montreal stream. Is that correct? We just don't know what games yet.
I don't know. I never got a reply on that, so we'll find that out later. Presume that we are not, but if we show up, it'll be a happy surprise. I think is probably the safe way to advertise that.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. We're gonna run one last set of ad breaks and host the stream. So we'll see you guys next time, whenever that may be.